About, not quite, probably a mile and a half or so out of camp, looking up at the mountains. Pretty cool. Today's going to be a big climbing day. Got a couple of mountain passes to go over. About a little over 6,000 feet of vertical today. Shooting for about 28 miles. So it'll be a long one. We got to start at about a little after 5:30. Probably be march until 7:38, something like that. We'll see. All right, we're getting a start at about 6:20. Looking up at those granite peaks, rocks, right above camp. Camped down in that gap there, several other people, and climbing up and over 3 passes today. Total of about 5,700, a little more than, vertical feet, 6,300 of descent. So mostly, well, it's going to be a lot of up and down to get to Stevens Pass, where we got a package waiting. Hoping to get a meal or two. So we've been walking along this little lake for a while, long and skinny. Fed by this little stream. Lots of cool lakes in Alpine Lake Wilderness. We're heading down now to the, hopefully, next water source. We just came down from that spot, and here's, as promised, a better picture of the lake. So made it to Pear Lake for a campsite last night right here. It's a pretty little place, not as far as I wanted to go, but it is a pretty little place. Leaving camp about 6:20, and there's another campsite up the way, a little bit less than 25 miles. I was hoping to get a solid 25 in today, tomorrow, and the next day to get into Stehekin. Got a lovely sunrise coming up above Pear Lake. At mile 2495.3, about 10 miles past Pear Lake, and it's about almost 10:30. So just about made the 10 by 10. That's the kind of the magic through hiker number you want. About 10 miles by 10 o'clock in the morning to make really good progress. And so I'm making good progress this morning, coming up on this lovely little scene of granite I'm climbing. You can see the trail winds that away, and it's going to stay pretty flat. You may not be able to see it on camera, but I can see it. It goes pretty flat underneath this granite mountain here on the way to Sally Ann Lake, where I may take maybe a half of an hour break for a snack, fill up with some water for the next push on. So coming in on Sally Ann Lake. Lovely little lake under the granite. Collect some water, and while the water filters, get a snack. So yeah. So this is just past Lake Sally Ann, where I had a little break. And you can see kind of this kaleidoscope of color down here. So the red is huckleberry. You've got some white flowers. You've got the kind of pinkish or magenta fireweed. You've got these yellow flowers that look kind of like an aster. You can just see Glacier Peak peeking out behind this other mountain. And another view coming up, but before we get there, we have a major milestone. 2,500 miles. So climbed up this way with these guys here. We've been leapfrogging since Northern California. And this is a new view. You can see down there, we're probably right at the top of the elevation for today, but the drop down to camp. As you all know, I love me a path, and the one that I was pointing at before up on the left. So we are right now. And it heads down switchy backy down that way. And you can see how this used to be a glacier and it was carved out. So this is just to give you an idea of what you do with a busted bridge. Log jam, busted bridge, log jam. Whatever. This is the first climb of the day. Came up that valley there. And we've got a new view. So you can see the trail there, switch back and down. Ultimately, it ends up at Mica Lake. So this is Mica Lake. Pretty little lake. Stop here for, I don't know, half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, something like that. All right. We got a bit of a situation here. For those of you that may have been paying attention, you might see that I'm missing something. Missing something that usually goes right here. That would be my tent and ground cloth. So, it fell out some point up the trail. So I'm going to have to backtrack to see if I can find my tent. All right, so ground cloth and tent found. Had to go back probably a little less than a half a mile or so to get them. All right, rounding another corner, looking at Glacier Peak. And this afternoon was about as tough as any I've had on the PCT, and it's not quite over yet. After losing and then finding my tent, I stepped a little too close to the edge of the trail, and it gave way as I put all of my weight on my right hand foot, and I slipped down about 20 feet through the brush and was able to stop myself, but crawling out was tough. I was grabbing onto vine branches and shrubs and stuff like that, and I still slipped back a couple of times. We got this cute little waterfall across the trail going down, and another one just right next to it. Now on the descent to the campsite, about 3.5-ish miles. You can see all these granite mountains around here. All right, just out of camp, maybe a couple of miles. I haven't talked much about blowdowns, but I have told some of you it's really hard to predict when I'm going to end up at some places for a meetup. Now, I'm so close to the end, there's going to be no meetups until my super awesome trail angel, Silver Angel, meets up. Anyway, to pick me up. But this is a blowdown. This is a little bigger than most, but this will give you an idea of what it takes to sometimes navigate these blowdowns. There are thousands of these blowdowns all over the trail, and so you just have to walk through, around, under, over, without tripping. And so what you'd ordinarily be able to walk through in just 10 seconds. Sometimes it takes longer to go through. So this is the best log bridge I think I've ever seen on the trail. This is the Suet River. It's actually Miners Creek going into the Seattle River. So it's kind of cool. Single big huge log. Climbed up back and forth up that away, and all day it's been overcast like this and smoky. Not sure where the smoke's coming from, but you can smell it in the air. And I'm about a little over 1.5 miles from the top of the hike today, and camp should be about 24.5 miles from where I started this morning. Just came over Seattle Pass, Suiattle Pass. And the current mileage is 25.55. And again, for those math majors out there, the trail is 2,655. So at this point, I've got 100 miles to go to the northern terminus. Yep, 100 to go. Some more imposing rock. So just came down from Seattle Pass and starting to look up, and you see this imposing rock. How this cirque here was shaped by a now extinct glacier. Alright, so you may not be able to see much, but it's started raining last night. Not a ton, but it was pretty constant. And this morning it is lingering rain, following Glacier Creek pretty much all the way into the trailhead to get picked up for Stehekin. So still a misty morning. The rain has essentially stopped, and down there you can't see it, but that's still Glacier Creek, and I'm a little less than, well, right at about 7 miles from the Stehekin pickup point.